Why would a government fear a person who kneels in prayer? Not a soldier, not a billionaire, not a rival party. Just a human being, alone before God, saying in the quiet place of the soul, there is something higher than the state. If this kind of quiet Christian reflection helps you think more clearly and seek God with more honesty, subscribe to Quiet Grace. Like this video and share it with someone who is wrestling with the same question. It helps more people find a calmer place to think, pray, and return to God. This is the part of history that is easy to miss. Communist regimes did not only argue that religion was mistaken. In many places, they treated religion like a rival kingdom. And to be clear, this is not about every atheist, every socialist, or every person who has ever used those labels. Many ordinary people hold political ideas without wanting anyone persecuted. This video is about something more specific: Marxist-Leninist regimes that tried to make the party the highest authority in life. Marx famously saw religion as a kind of consolation inside suffering. He believed that if the material conditions of life were changed, religion would fade away. But later revolutionary regimes did not simply wait for faith to fade. They organized against it. They educated against it. They mocked it, managed it, restricted it, and when they felt threatened, they punished it. Lenin made the logic sharper. For him, Marxism was built on materialism, and materialism was not neutral toward religion. Religion was not merely a private difference of opinion inside the party's imagination. It was a rival way of seeing reality. That matters because a total state cannot tolerate many ultimate loyalties. It can tolerate hobbies, it can tolerate slogans. It can even tolerate a church when the church becomes quiet enough, useful enough, registered enough, supervised enough, but it struggles to tolerate a conscience that can say no. The Christian faith says the human person is not created by the state, not owned by the state, and not finally measured by usefulness to the state. The soul is not a factory unit. The family is not merely a political instrument. The poor are not material for an experiment. The old, the weak, the inconvenient, and the dissenter still carry a dignity that no committee gave them, and no committee can remove. Those words are not a call to chaos. They are a boundary. They say that civil authority matters, but it is not God. They say that law matters, but law can become wicked. They say that obedience has a limit when human power demands what belongs only to the Lord. Now imagine hearing that if you are building a world where the party must be the final interpreter of truth. A believer may be poor. A believer may be powerless. A believer may have no weapon at all. But if that believer still believes God is above the state, then the state has not fully won. This is where atheism becomes politically useful to the regime, not private atheism. Not the personal unbelief of a neighbor who still loves his family and tries to live honestly. I mean state atheism as a tool of control. If there is no God above history, then history can be made to serve the party. If there is no judgment above the revolution, then the revolution can judge everything. If there is no sacred human dignity before politics, then human beings can be renamed as classes, obstacles, enemies, or waste. This does not mean every unbeliever becomes cruel. That would be false and unfair. It means that when a state denies any moral authority above itself, cruelty becomes easier to explain away. The state can call violence education, it can call theft redistribution, it can call prison reform, it can call silence unity, it can call fear progress. In the Soviet Union, the campaign against religion was not a tiny side issue. The Library of Congress describes the Soviet Union as the first state with the elimination of religion as an ideological objective. Church property was confiscated, believers were harassed. Atheism was spread through schools. Clergy and believers were shot or sent to labor camps. Thousands of churches were closed. This was not only an intellectual debate in a university room. It became policy, pressure, and fear. Britannica describes how the Bolsheviks wanted to reshape culture itself, including religion and education, to create a new kind of human being. That phrase is important. A regime that wants to create a new human being is usually not content to govern laws. It wants to govern the inner life. And when the inner life belongs to God, the state meets a wall. In China, the pattern took a different shape, but the pressure is recognizable. The Chinese Communist Party is officially atheist, and party members are not permitted to join any religion. Pew Research Center notes that China has worked to align religion with communism and state loyalty while tightly policing religious activity. During the Cultural Revolution, Red Guards attacked old customs, old ideas, and religious places. More recently, the pressure has often taken the form of registration, surveillance, ideological alignment, and limits on worship outside approved spaces. Again, the issue is not that every policy in every country was identical. The pattern is that faith becomes acceptable only when it is made smaller than the state. North Korea makes the principle even more extreme. The US State Department report says the right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion is denied there, and that Christians can be treated as a serious threat to loyalty to the state. That phrase reveals the heart of the matter: loyalty to the state. Christianity does not merely add Sunday rituals to a person's week. It teaches that Christ is Lord. That claim is spiritual, but it is not politically harmless to a regime that wants lordship for itself. A Christian can honor earthly authority, pray for leaders, pay taxes, serve neighbors, and still refuse to worship power. Daniel could serve in Babylon, but he could not bow to the image. The apostles could respect order, but they could not stop speaking when commanded to deny their calling. The early church could live quietly, but it could not confess Caesar as ultimate. This is why communist persecution of religion was never only about superstition. That was the stated language, and sometimes leaders truly believed it. But beneath that language was a political need. The regime needed people to stop believing there was a throne above the party, because if God exists, then the party is not absolute. If the human person is made in the image of God, then no revolution can own him completely. If conscience can answer to God, then propaganda has a limit. If martyrdom is possible, then fear has a limit too. A total state can survive disagreement. What it fears is a rival source of courage, and that is where the moral question becomes personal. We look back at these regimes and ask how people could participate in cruelty, how neighbors could inform on neighbors, how officials could sign orders, how teachers could train children to despise the faith of their parents. Part of the answer is fear, part of it is ambition, part of it is propaganda, but part of it is the slow removal of the sacred from the human person. Once a person is no longer a soul before God, he can become a category. Once he is a category, he can become a problem. Once he is a problem, he can be moved, silenced, re-educated, or erased in the name of a future that never has to apologize to eternity. Christianity stands against that because it says the future is not allowed to devour the person in front of you. No promised utopia gets to cancel the command to love your neighbor. No historical theory gets to make murder clean. No class label removes the image of God. This is not a reason for Christians to become proud. Pride can build its own little tyranny inside the heart. The Christian answer is not to replace one earthly idol with another. It is to remember that every human power, including our own side, must kneel before the Lord. The deeper lesson is that any system becomes dangerous when it refuses a moral authority above itself. When the state says, "We define truth," the Christian must remember Christ. When ideology says, "We define dignity," the Christian must remember creation. When fear says, "Obey or be crushed," the Christian must remember the apostles, standing before power with empty hands and steady souls. We ought to obey God rather than men. That sentence has survived empires because it is not a political trick. It is a confession. It says God is God, and man is not. And if that is true, then faith will always be dangerous to any power that wants to be worshipped. If this helped you think more clearly and stand more quietly with God, subscribe to Quiet Grace Daily. This channel is meant to be a calm place for honest, scripture-led reflection in a loud world. And share this with someone who needs to remember that no power on earth is higher than the Lord.